Good morning, classmates. I'm Andrew Chu. Together with Jeremy Francisco, will discuss the practice of human resource management. Part 1. The essence of human resource management. So first, let's understand the meaning of human resource and management. Human, relating to or characteristic of people or human being. Resource, a stock or supply of money, material, stuff, and other assets that can be drawn by a person or organization in order to function effectively. Management, the act of managing, conducting, or supervising of some things such as business. It is also a planning, decision-making, organizing, leading motivation, and controlling the human resource, and etc. Part 1. The essence of human resource management or HRM. Human resource management can be defined as strategic, integrated, and coherent approach to the employment, development, and well-being of the people in an organization. All those activities are associated with the management of employment relationship in the firm. Managerial utilization of effort, knowledge, capabilities, and committed behavior which people contribute to an authoritatively coordinated enterprise as part of the employment exchange to carry out tasks in a way which enables the enterprise to continue into the future. So the role of human resource manager had been evolved over the years. It's not just about hiring and firing people. In the beginning, the role of HR manager or HR team is being only administrative, but today it has been strategic human resource management. Its management has to be grown oriented in order to create more opportunities to its employees as well as organization itself. Human resource management is a management function in an organization that focuses on staffing, hiring, training, development, motivation, communication, and also compensation of all the personnel. The goal of HRM filled in human resource. So there are business development, training, recruitment, employee relationship, and compensation and benefit. So let's talk about business development. Develop and implement strategies integrated with the business. Training and coaching, it contributes to the development of high-performance culture. Recruiting or hiring ensures there is a talented, skilled, and engaged people needed. Employee relationship, positive employment relationship of management and employees or a climate of mutual trust and application of an ethical to the people management. Compensation and benefit, compensation, incentives, allowance, bonus, commission, and other mandatory benefit, and etc. So class, to make it simple to understand human resource management is a management function in an organization that focuses on staffing, hiring, training, development, motivation, communication, compensation of the personnel. It also includes safety and health and also those labor relationship. Underpinning theories of HRM, different approaches. Many researchers attempted to design a name for the HRM theories. In this section, we will describe the important theories which support HRM policies and practices in any organization or company. So first, commitment theory. Workers respond best and most creative when they are given broader responsibilities, encouraged to contribute, and help take satisfaction in their work. Motivational theories, goal-directed behavior in which people are committed to their work and the organization are motivated to achieve high level of performance, like for example, goal setting. In other definition, motivation is a way to create a high performance of passion in order to achieve organization goal. And this condition is addressed by fulfilling certain individual needs. Resource-based theory states that competitive advantage is achieved if a firm's resources are valuable, rare, and costly imitate, acquire the best people. The resource-based view is applied as theoretical foundation in HRM that is based on assumption that the firm resource distribute heterogeneously and remain stable over the time. A firm resource includes materials, skills, organizational process, and system plus information and data of the organization. This theory ties HRM with competitive advantage generation through focusing on fostering an internal resource that the organization owns, which most probably are unique and special to the firm. In different words, not to institutional theory. Organizations conform to internal and external environment pressure in order to gain legitimacy and acceptance. More on legality and formality naman to. So, in this theory, it suggests that the environment inside the organization has a direct impact on formal organization structure development. The organizational environment features such as cultural element, symbol, normative belief, and other shapes institutional structure. Human capital theory, concerned with how people in organization contribute their knowledge, skills, and abilities to enhancing organizational capabilities and its significance. More on capable employees. Next is the AMO, which is ability, motivation, and opportunity to participate theories. In this theory, it encourages discretionary effort, develop skills, and provide people with the opportunity to perform. According to AMO theory, the component of ability, motivation, and opportunity are the three independent work system elements that form employee characteristic and eventually leads to organizational success. First, ability. It refers to those practices and policies that HR undertakes to ensure the employees have or gain the required skills, knowledge, and ability to perform their tasks with minimum supervision to achieve organizational goal. Second, motivation. Motivation refers to employee performance amendment policy. Performed by HR to manage motivation in organization, it also refers to the way in which the employee are motivated to put more extra effort in performing assignments. Motivation enhancing HRM practice within the organization to perform better, which include contingent reward and performance management. Last, opportunity. The last component is opportunity enhancing HRM practice, which aim at engaging employee involvement through providing opportunities. Next theory is the social exchange theories. Employees will reciprocate their contribution to the organization if they perceive that the organization has treated them well. So it's like a give and take between employee and employers. Number 10. Transaction cost theory. Businesses develop organizational structure and system that economize the cost of the transaction that take place during the course of their operation. Example are proper costing. Transaction cost theory is one of the important organizational theories for the analysis, strategy, and organization's issue, and recently it has been applied to the HRM function for controlling employees' behavior, which focus on examining the problem of human exchange based on finance and economics. Number 11. Agency theory. Role of the managers of a business is to act on behalf of the owners of the business as their agent with incentives to motivate and reward acceptable behavior. Sample, performance-based award. Next topic is model of HRM fundamental basis. Number 1, matching model of HRM. System and organization structure should be managed in a way that the congruent with organizational strategy. Next, Harvard model of HRM. Involve all management decision and action that affect the nature of the relationship between the organizational and employees. It's an employee-employer relationship. Third, contextual model of HRM emphasize the importance of environmental factors such as social institutions and political forces that have been underestimated in other models. Adapt the other environment. Next, the 5P model of HRM. As formulated by Schuler in 1992, the 5P model of HRM describes how HRM operates under the 5 headings. Here, we will discuss the philosophy, policy, program, practice, process, or what we call 5P. HR philosophy, a statement of how the organizational regards its human resource, the role they play in the overall success of the business, and how they should be treated and managed. HR's policies, these provide guidelines for action on people-related business issues and for the development of HR program and practices based on strategy needs. Next, HR programs. These are shaped by HR policies and consist of coordinated HR effort intended to initiate and manage organizational change, effort prompted by strategic business needs. Next, HR practices. These are the activities carried out in implementation of HR policies and programs. They include resourcing, learning, and development performance, and reward management, employee relationship, and administrative. HR processes. These are the formal procedure and method used to put HR strategic plans and policies into an effort. After the 5Ps, we also have the European model of HRM. It focuses on dialogue between social partners, emphasis on social responsibilities, multicultural organizations, participation in decision making, and continuous learning. So they should be goal-oriented. Last, hard and soft HRM model. Hard is the quantitative, calculative, and business strategic aspect of managing human resource. Soft is communication, motivation, and leadership. So it's like a rational versus human resource relation. Part 2. Strategic management. So what is strategic HRM? Strategic HRM is an approach to the development and implementation of HR strategies that are integrated with business strategies and support their achievements. Strategic HRM or SHRM is conceptual. It is a general notion of how integration or fit between HR and business strategy is achieved. The benefit of taking longer-term view of where HR should be going and how to get there, and how to coherent and mutually supporting HR strategy should be developed and implemented. Importantly, it is also about how members of the HR function should adopt the strategic approach on a day-to-day basis. This means that they operate as part of the management team, ensure that the HR activities support the achievement of the business strategy on continuous basis, and add values. So here, we can see that strategic human resource management is a proactive process of managing employees in an organization that includes standard human resource components such as attracting, developing, rewarding, and retaining employees and bring them on one step further by taking consideration to the goal and need of the other department within the organization and the organization itself. The end goal of strategic human resource management is ensuring a higher chances of organizational success. Strategic management. Strategic management is best defined as a process. It is a process of strategy making, forming, and if the firm survives, reforming its strategy over the time. So strategic management is the planned use of a company's resource to reach its goal and objective, which is the mission and vision of the company. Strategic management requires ongoing evaluation of internal processes and external factors that may impact how a company functions. Companies of all sizes and in all industry can benefit from practicing of a strategic management. Second characteristic of strategy is the recognition that the organization capability of a firm depends on its resources capabilities. The third characteristic of strategy is that it aims to achieve strategic fit. Aims of SHRM. The fundamental aim of strategic HRM is to generate organizational capabilities by ensuring that the organization has the skilled, engaged, committed, and well-motivated employees if needs to achieve sustained competitive advantage. SHRM has three main objectives. First, to achieve integration. The vertical alignment of HR strategy with business strategy and the horizontal integration of HR strategies. Next, to provide a sense of direction so that the business needs to be organization and the individual and the collective needs of its employees can be met by the development and implementation of coherent and practical HR policies and programs. Last, to contribute in formulation of business strategy by drawing attention to the way in which the business can capitalize on the advantage provided by the strength of its human resources. The resource-based value of SHRM. This states that it is range of resources in an organization including its human resources that produce its unique characteristic and create competitive advantage. An administrative organization plus a collection of productive resources is a bundle of potential service and is a balance between exploitation of existing resource and development of a new ones. So it's like valuable is equals to competitive advantages. Perspective on SHRM and their models. Universalistic perspective. Some HR practices are better than others and all organizations should adopt these practices. There is a universal relationship between individual, best practice, and the firm performance. Contingency perspective. To be effective an organization, HR policies must be consistent with the other aspect of the organization. The primary contingency factor is the organizational strategy. This can be described as a vertical fit. Configuration perspective. This is a holistic approach that emphasizes the importance of the pattern of HR practices and is concerned with how the patterns of individual variable is related to the independent variable of the organizational performance. The best practice model. This model is based on the assumption that there is a set of the best HRM practices that are universal in the sense they are best in any situation and that adopting them will lead to superior organization performance. Here, we can see the list of best practices. First, employment security. Second, selective hiring. Third, self-managed teams. Fourth, high compensation. Fifth, training to provide a skilled and motivated workforce. Sixth, reduction of status differential. And last, sharing information. The best fit model. The best fit model is in line with contingency theory. It emphasizes that HR strategy should be congruent with the context and circumstances of the organization. Best fit can be perceived in terms of vertical integration or alignment between organizational business and HR strategies. There are three models: life cycle, competitive strategy, and strategic configurations. Again, there are three models. First, life cycle model. Second, competitive strategies. And last, strategic configurations. The life cycle model. The life cycle model is based on theory that the development of a firm takes place in the four stages. First, startup, growth, maturity, and decline. This is in line with product life cycle theory. Competitive strategies. Three strategies aim to achieve competitive advantage were identified by Porter in 1985. First, innovation, being the unique producer. Next, quality, delivering high-quality goods and services to the customer. Third, cost leadership, the planned result of policy aimed to managing away expenses. It was argued in 1987 that to achieve the maximum effect, it is necessary to match the role characteristic of people in an organization with the preferred strategies. Strategic configuration. Another approach to best fit is the position that organization will be more effective if they adopt a policy of strategic configuration. This means matching their strategy to one of the ideal type defined by theories such as those produced by Miles and Snow in 1978. They identified the following four types of organization, classifying the first three types of ideal organizations. Four types ideal organization. First, prospectors, which operate in an environment characterized by rapid and unpredictable changes. Prospectors have low level of formalization and specialization and high level of decentralization. They have related or relatively few hierarchy levels. Second, defenders, which operate in a more stable and predictable environment than prospective and engage in more long-term planning. They have more mechanistic or bureaucratic structure than prospectors and obtain coordination through formalization, centralization, specialization, and vertical differentiation. The third type is analyzers, which are a combination of the prospector and defender type. They operate in stable environment like defenders, and it also markers where new products are constantly required, like prospectors. They are usually not an initiator of changes, like prospector, but they follow the certain change more rapidly than defender. Plus, the reactors, which are unstable organization existing in what they believe to be an unpredictable environment. They lack consistent, well-articulated strategy and do not undertake long-term planning. HR strategies and specific. General strategies describe the overall system or bundle of complementary HR practices that the organization proposes to adopt or put into effort in order to improve organization performance. There are three main approaches to summarize this thing. First, high performance management. Second, high commitment management. And last, high involvement management. High performance management. It aims through high performance work system, like bundle of practice that enhance employee performance and facilitate their engagement, motivation, and skill enhancement, to make an impact to the performance of the organization in such areas productivity, quality, level of customer service, growth, and profits. High commitment management. One of the defining characteristics of HRM is its emphasis on the importance of enhancing mutual commitment. It is a form of management which is aimed at eliciting a commitment so that behavior is primarily self-regulated rather than controlled by sanctions and pressure external to the individual, and relations within the organization are based on high level of trust. Last, high involvement management is defined by Benson in year 2006. It said that high involvement work practice are a specific set of human resource practice that focus on employee decision making, power, access to the information, training, and also in incentives. Specific HR strategies. Specific HR strategies sets out what the organization intends to do in areas such as human capital management, knowledge management, and corporate social responsibilities. First, human capital management, obtaining, analyzing, and reporting on data that informs the direction of value adding, people management, strategic, investment, and operational decision. Knowledge management, creating, acquiring, capturing, sharing, and using knowledge to enhance learning and performance. Corporate social responsibilities, a commitment to managing the business ethically in order to make a positive impact on the society and environment. Next, engagement, the development and implementation of policies designed to increase the level of employees' engagement with their work and the organization. Organizational development, the planning and implementation of programs designed to enhance the effectiveness with which an organization functions and responds to change. Resourcing, attracting and retaining high-quality people. Talent management, how the organization ensures that it has been talented people it needs to achieve the success. Here are the other specific HR strategy. Learning and development, providing an environment in which employees are encouraged to learn and develop. Next, reward, defining what the organizational want to do in the longer term to develop and implement reward policies, practices, and processes that will further the achievement of its business goal and meet the needs of its stakeholder. Employee relations, defining the intention of organization about what need to be done and what need to be changed in the way which the organization manage its relationship with the employees and their trade unions. Employee well-being, meeting the needs of employees for healthy, safe, and supportive work environment. Next, the criteria for an effective HR strategy. An effective HR strategy is one of the work in the sense that it achieves what it sets out to achieve. Its criteria are that it will satisfy the business needs, is founded on detailed analysis and study and is evidence-based, not it is not just wishful thinking, can be turned into actionable program that anticipate implement requirements and problem, is coherent integrated being composed of components that fit with support each others, takes account of the needs of line managers, employees generally, as well as those of the organizational and its other stakeholders. So we are now here in part 3. Part 3, delivering HRM, system, and roles. The framework for delivering HRM. The framework for delivering HRM is provided by the HR architecture of an organization, which consists of the HR system, HR practice, HR delivery model, adopted by the HR function. Within that framework, the provision of advice and service relating to the human resource management is the responsibility of the HR function, and the HR professional who are members of the function. Ultimately, however, the delivery of HRM is up to the line managers who put HR policies into the practice. So here, we're going to talk about the HR system. So what is HR system? The HR system contains the interrelated and jointly supportive HR activities and practices in which together enable HRM goal to be achieved. So first, HR strategies, which define the direction in which HRM intend to take each of its main areas of activities. Next, HR policies. HR policies, which sets out of the HRM is there to do and provided guidelines defining how specific aspect of HR should be applied and implemented. Third, HR practices, which consists of HR activities involved in managing and developing people and in managing the employment relationship. So here, we can see the HR system. An HR system is bring together by HR philosophies and that describe the overreaching values and guidance principle adopted in managing people, taking accounts of internal and external environment in which organization operate the system incorporation or incorporates. The role and organization of their HR function. Members of the HR function provide insight, leadership, advice, and service on matters affecting the management, employment, learning and development, reward, and well-being of people and relationship between the management and employees. So it plays a key part in the creation of the environment that enhance engagement by enabling people to make the best use of their capacities, to realize their potential to the benefit of both organization and themselves, and to achieve satisfaction to their work. HR activities. HR activities can be divided into two broad categories. First, transformational strategic activities. Second is transactional activities. First, transformational activities that are concerned with development, organizational effectiveness, and the alignment and implementation of HR and business strategies. The second is transaction activities, which cover the main areas of HR service delivery, resourcing, learning and development, reward, and employees' relations. The organization of the HR function. The organization and staffing of the HR function clearly depends on the size of the business, the extent to which operation and decentralized, the type of work carried out, the kind of people employed, and the role assigned to the HR function. Example of organizational HR function. A traditional organization might consist of an HR director, responsible directly to the chief executive, with functional head dealing, respectively with recruitment and employment, that matters, learning and development, and reward management. The HR function to produce a model of an HR department. He suggested that this might consist of a team of 12 people serving a workforce of around 1,200. The team would have a director, 3 managers, 1 supervisors, 3 HR officers, and 4 assistants. It would include a number of professional qualified practitioners, particularly at senior level. However, there is no such a thing as a typical HR function. Although the three-leg stool model as described below has attracted a lot of attention. So what is the three-leg stool model? It's a traditional design of an HR department. Typically include a vice president of HR, then a manager of compensation and benefit, a manager of HRIS and payroll, a manager of employment, and so on. However, the emerging model is more like a three-leg stool. One leg of the stool includes the Administrative Service Center, which process payroll, benefit, and like to focus on efficient in-transaction function. The second leg is Center of Excellence or Expertise, in which manager is specialized work. This employee concentrate on design rather than transaction and will have line managers as their customer. HR business partners make up their third leg. They are generalists who usually report to line managers indirect to HR. These employees don't get involved transaction, but instead act as consultants and planners, linking the business with appropriate HR programs. In time, the exposition provided the blueprint for all subsequent versions of the model, which has evolved as the following. Centers of expertise. These specialize in the provision of high-level advice and service on key HR activities. The most common expertise areas were training and development, recruitment, reward, and employee relation. Second is strategic business partners. These work with line managers to help them reach their goals through effective strategy, formulation, and execution in business units or department. Next, HR Shared Service Center. These handle all the routine transactional service across the business, which include such activities as recruitment, absence monitoring advice on dealing with employees issues such as discipline and absenteeism. So what is the nature of HR functional delivery model? In a sense of HR function is in delivery business, providing the advice and service that enable organization and their line managers to get things done through people. The HR delivery model describes how those services are provided. This method of delivery takes place irrespective of the degree to which what is done corresponded with conceptual HR model described in Chapter 1. The HR role of line managers. HR can initiate new policies and practices, but it is line managers that have the main responsibilities for implementing them. HR staff propose but line managers dispose. If the line managers are not inclined favorable towards what HR want them to do, they won't do it or will be half-hearted. The role of HR professional. The role of HR profession is very widely according to the extent to which they are generalized. Example, HR director, HR manager, HR officer, or specialized. Example is head of learning and development, head of talent management, head of reward. The level at which they work, strategic, executive, administrative, the need of the organization, the view of senior management about their contribution, the context within which they work, and their own capabilities, they can act strategists, business partners, innovators, change agent, internal consultant, facilitator, and coaches. So here, in 1986, Tyson and Feld believed that they were specialists in managing the employment relationship. The competence required are demanding. The various roles are described below. First, the general role, the service delivery role, the strategic role, the business partner role, the innovation role, and the change agent role. First, the general role. HR professionals can play a proactive role, contributing to the formulation of corporate strategy, developing integrated HR strategies, and volunteering guidance on matters related to upholding core values and ethical principles. They help to improve organizational capability, the capacity of organization to perform effective tools, reach its goals, and work with line managers to deliver performance targets. The service delivery role. The service delivery role of the HR professional operate at a transformational level when the HR strategies, program and policies are devised and implemented which further the achievement of business goals and help to meet the need of the employees. Strategic role. HR professionals have a strategic role when they are operating at a transformational level as HR director or head of the HR function, head of centers of expertise or key HR function, and strategic business partners. The business partner role. The notion of HR professional as business partners has seized the imagination of HR people. In essence, the concept is that as business partner, HR specialist shares responsibilities with their line management colleagues for the success of enterprise and get involved with them implementing business strategy and running the business. The innovation role. Strategic and therefore proactive approach to HRM will means that HR specialists will need to innovate, to introduce new process and procedure they believe will increase organizational effectiveness. The case for innovation should be established by process or analyze the diagnose using an evidence-based management approach to identify business needs and the issues to be addressed. The change agent role. Change agent role implementation of strategy means that HR specialists have to act as change agent, facilitating change by providing advice and support on its introduction and management. They categorize HR change agent in four dimensions. First, transformational change. Second, incremental change. Third, HR vision. And last, HR expertise. So first is the transformational change. What it does mean, a major change that has a dramatic effect on HR policies and practice across the whole organization. Second, incremental change. Gradual adjustment of HR policies and practices which affect single activities or multiple functions. Third, HR vision. A set of values and beliefs that affirms the legitimacy of the HR function as strategic business partner. And last, HR expertise. The knowledge and skills that define the unique contribution of HR professional can make to effective people management. The values of HR. The most important aspect of values is the ethical stance HR people take in promoting people management policies and practices that are just fair and take account of the interests of employees as well as those of the business. So, what it means to be an HR professional? Professionalism in HR as in other fields can be defined generally as the conduct exhibited by people who are providing advice and services that required expertise that met defined generally accepted standard of behavior. Work done by a professional is usually distinguished by its reference to a framework of fundamental concepts that reflect the skillful application of specialized education, training, and experience. It is accompanied by the sense of responsibilities and acceptance of recognition standard. Even more loosely, people can describe as acting professionally when they do their work well and act responsible. Professionalism in HR characterized by the possession of specialized knowledge and skill, power and status based on expertise, self-discipline and adherent to some aspirational performance standard, the opportunities to display high level of autonomy, the ability to apply some independent of judgment, operating and being guided by the code of ethics. HR behaviors. These are the following behaviors needed by HR professionals to carry out their activities. Curious, decisive thinker, skilled influencer, driven to deliver, collaborative, personally credible, courage to challenge, and role model. Key HR specialist competency areas. So first, personal credibility. Live the firm values, maintain relationship, founded on trust, act with an attitude. Second, ability to manage change, drive change, ability to diagnose problem, build relationship with clients, articulate a vision, set a leadership agenda, solve problem, implement goals. Third, ability to manage culture. Act as keepers of the culture. Identify the culture required to meet the firm business strategy, frame culture in a way that excites employees, translate desired culture into specific behaviors, encourage executives to behave consistently with the desired culture. Fourth, delivery human resource practice. Expert in the specialty, able to deliver state-of-the-art innovative HR practices in such areas of recruitment, employee development, and compensation and communication. Fifth, understanding of the business. Strategy, organization, competitors, finance, marketing, sales, operations, and IT. Part 4. HRM and performance. What impact HRM can make on performance? All organizations are under the obligation to their stakeholders to perform well. To do this, they depend on the quality, dedication, enthusiasm, expertise, and skills of the people working in them at every level. HRM delivers added value and helps to achieve sustainable competitive advantage through the strategic development. HR professionalism add value when their work helps someone reach their goal. So, how HRM makes that impact? HR policies have an effect on HR practices, and this in turn influence staff attitudes and behavior, which will, in turn again, impact on service offering and customer perspective of value. Best HR practice enhance performance. So here, we can see the organizational performance. It will start to business strategy, followed up by the HRM strategy, HRM practice like resourcing, performance management, learning and development, reward management, employee relation. The output or outcome will be engagement, commitment, motivation, and skill. In business outcome, it will deliver much more productivity, quality, and customer service. In financial performance, the company organization will get more profit, sales, market shares, market value. The nature of high-performance culture. Organization achieve sustained high performance through the system of work they adopt, but these systems are managed and operated by people. Ultimately, therefore, high-performance worker is about improving performance through people. This can be done through the development and implementation of high-performance culture, involving high-performance work system in which performs management plays an important part. High-performance culture are ones in which the achievement of high levels of performance is a way of life. The characteristics of such culture are set out below. First, management defines what is required in the shape of performance improvement, sets goals for success and monitor performance to ensure that the goals are achieved. Alternative work practice are adopted such as job redesign, autonomous work teams, improvement groups, team briefing, and flexible working. Next, people know what is expected of them. They understand their goal and accountabilities. People feel that their job is worth doing and there is a strong fit between job and the capabilities. Continue. People are empowered to maximize their contribution. There is strong leadership from the top that engenders a shared belief in the importance of continuing improvement. There is a focus of promoting positive attitude that result in an engaged, committed, and motivated workforce. Performance management processes are aligned to business goals to ensure that people are engaged in achieving agreed objective and standard. Also, capacities of the people are developed through learning at all levels to support performance improvement, and they are provided with opportunities to make full use of their skills and abilities. A pool of talent ensures the continuous supply of high performance in key role. People are valued and rewarded accordingly to their contribution. People are involved in developing high performance practices. There is a climate of trust and teamwork aimed to delivering a distinctive service to the customer. A clear line of sight exists between the strategic aims of the organization and those of its department and its staff at all levels. How a high-performance work system functions. First, job infrastructure, workplace arrangement that equips workers with the proper abilities to do their job, provide them with the means to do their jobs, and give them motivation to do their jobs. These practices must be combined to produce their proper effects. Training program to enhance employment skills. Investment in increasing employee skills, knowledge, and abilities. Information sharing and worker involvement mechanism to understand the available alternative and make correct decision. Reward and promotion opportunities that provide motivation to encourage skills employees to engage in effective discretional decision making in a variety of environmental contingencies. The role of the performance management. Performance management can contribute to the development of high-performance culture in an organization by delivering the message that high performance is important. The management of organization perform is the continuing responsibilities of top management who with the help of advice of HR plans organize, monitor, and controls activities and provide leadership to achieve strategic objective and satisfy the need and requirement of the stakeholders. How far can HR can contribute? HR contributes to enhancing organization performance by providing insight on the performance issues affecting the organizational and its employees. This means identifying the reason for the issues, exploring their implications for business and people management, and conveying this message to management. The aim is to find new ways to meeting performance challenges. Part 5. Human Capital Management. The nature of human capital management. HCM involved the systematic analysis, measurement, and evaluation of how policies and practices create value. Uses metrics to guide an approach to managing people that regards them as assets and emphasize that competitive advantage is achieved by strategic investment to those assets. Human capital is owned and controlled by the firm. Concept of human capital. The acquired wealth of nation derived from acquired abilities of people. Their education, experience, skills, and health individual generate, retain, use knowledge and skills, and create intellectual capital. Their knowledge is enhanced by the interaction between them that generates the institutional knowledge possessed by the organizational. Characteristic of human capital. So human capital represents the human factor in the organization that combines intelligence, skill, and expertise that give the organization its distinctive character. Those that are capable of learning, changing, innovating, and providing those creative trust, which is properly motivated, can ensure the long-term survival of an organization. Constituent of human capital. Human capital consists of the following: intellectual, social, organizational capital. Intellectual capital, it defines as the stock and flow of the knowledge available to an organization. This can be regarded as an intangible resource associated with people, which together with tangible resource comprise the market or total value of the business. Social capital consists of knowledge derived from network or relationship within the outside the organization. The feature of social life, network norms, and trust that enable participants to act together more effectively to pursue the shared objective. Organizational capital. The institutionalized knowledge possessed by organization that is stored in database, manuals, etc. It is often called structural capital. Human capital theory. It helps to determine the impact of people on the business and their contributions to stakeholders' value. It demonstrates that HR practice produce value for money in terms of, for example, return on investment or ROI. It provides guidance on future HR and business strategies and data that will inform strategies and practices designed to improve the effectiveness of people management in an organization. So here an approach to people management basis of human capital theory involves obtaining answers to this question. What are the key performance drivers that create value? What skills do we have? What skills do we need now and in the future to meet our strategy aim? How are we going to attract, develop, and retain these skills? How can we develop a culture and environment in which organizational and individual learning takes place that meets both our needs and the needs of the employees? How can we provide for both explicit and tacit knowledge created in our organization to be captured, recorded, and used effective? So, importance of human capital measurement. The role of HCM is to base or is to assess the impact of HRM practice and the contribution made by people to organizational performance. Human capital measurement is about finding links, correlation, and ideally causation between different sets of HR data using statistic techniques. Reason for interest in human capital measurement. People in organization add value and there is a case for assessing this value to provide a basis for HR planning and for monitoring the effectiveness and impact of HR policies and practices. The process of identifying, measure, and collecting and analyzing information relating to them will focus the attention of the organization on what needs to be done to find, keep, develop, and make the best use of its human capital. Measurement can be used to monitor progress in achieving strategic HR goal and generally to evolve or evaluate the effectiveness of HR practices. You cannot manage unless you measure. Perceptual data is an attitude or opinion survey focus group like exit interview. It's usually you use analytical in here. Performance data, financial, operational, and customer, or on actual result. Factors affecting choice of measurement. Type of organization, its business and goal drivers. The existing key performance indicator or KPIs. Use of balanced scorecard. The availability, use, and manageability of the data. Criteria for HRM for managers. It is credible, accurate, and trustworthy. They understand what it means for them. It is accompanied by guidance as to what action can be taken. They have the skills and abilities to understand and act upon it. Part 6. Knowledge Management. Knowledge meaning. Knowledge defined as what people understand about things, concepts, ideas, theories, procedure, and practice. So what is knowledge management? What its purpose and significance? Knowledge management is concerned with storing and sharing the wisdom, understanding, and expertise accumulated in an enterprise about its processes, techniques, and operations. It treats knowledge as a key resource, like a mentorship. Next, knowledge management is more concerned with people and how they acquired, exchange, and spread knowledge than it is about information technology. Knowledge management should be based on the understanding of the concept of the knowledge. This is therefore dealt with in the first section of this chapter. In subsequent section, knowledge management described is more detailed strategies for developing its practice are described and consideration is given to the HR role. Explicit and tacit knowledge. In 1991, Nonaka, and in 1995, Nonaka and Takeuchi stated the knowledge is either explicit or tacit. Explicit knowledge can be codified. It is recorded and available and is held in database, in corporate intranets, and intellectual property portfolio. Tacit knowledge exists in people's mind. It is difficult to articulate in writing and is acquired through personal expertise or experience, as suggested by Hansen in year 1999. It includes scientific or technological expertise, operational know-how, insight about industry and business judgment. Data, information, and knowledge. A distinction can be made between data, information, and knowledge. Data consists of the basic fact, the building blocks for information and knowledge. Information is data that have been processed in a way that is meaningful to individuals, is available to anyone entitled to gain access to it. Knowledge is information used productively. It is personal and often intangible, and it can be elusive. The task of tying it down, encoding it, and distributing it is tricky. Knowledge management strategy. We approach to knowledge management strategy have been identified by Hansen. First, the codification strategy. Next, the personalization strategy. The codification strategy. Knowledge is carefully codified and stored in database where it can be accessed and used easily by anyone in the organization. Knowledge is explicit and is codified using the people-to-people document approach. The strategy is therefore document-driven. Knowledge is extracted from the person who developed it, made independent of the person, and reused for various purposes. It is stored in an electrical or electronic repository for people to use, and allows people to search for retrieve codified knowledge without having to contact the person who originally developed it. This strategy relies largely on information technology to manage database and also on the use of intranet. The personalization strategy. Knowledge is closely tied to the person who has developed it and is shared mainly through direct person-to-person contact. This person-to-person approach means providing for tacit knowledge to be passed. The exchange of achieved by creating network and encouraging face-to-face communication between people by informal conference, workshop communication, or communities of practice, brainstorming, and one-on-one session. Knowledge management issue. The strategy referred to above do not provide easy answer. The issues that need to be addressed in developing knowledge management practice are the following. The pace of change, relating knowledge management strategy to business strategy, the significance of process, knowledge workers, the pace of change. So the pace of change means how to keep up with the pace of change and identify what knowledge needs to be captured and shared. So typically, we should have or we should update our knowledge. Relating knowledge management strategy to business strategy. The way it is applied to strategic objective that is the critical ingredient in competitiveness. They suggested that competitive strategy must drive knowledge management strategy. Technology and people. Technology may be central to companies adopting a codification strategy, but for those following a personalization strategy, IT is best used in supportive role. The significance of process. Emphasize that a preoccupation with technology may mean too little attention is paid to the processes through which knowledge combines and interact in different ways. Knowledge workers are individuals who have high level of education and specialized skills combined with the ability to apply these skills to identify and solve problems. Usually, these are the key persons. The contribution HR can make knowledge management. HR can make an important contribution to knowledge management simply because knowledge is shared between people. It is not just a matter of capturing explicit knowledge through the use of IT. HR can contribute by providing advice on the culture management, organization, design, and development, and by establishing learning and communication program and system. So here, we will show you the 10 ways how HR can contribute. First, help to develop an open culture in which the values and norms emphasize the importance of sharing knowledge. Second, promote a climate of commitment and trust. Third, advise on the design and development of organization that facilitates knowledge sharing through network, teamwork, and communities of practice. Fourth, advise on resourcing policies and provide resourcing service that ensure that values employees who can contribute to knowledge, create, and sharing are attracted and retained. 5. Advise on method of motivating people to share knowledge and rewarding those who do so. 6. Help in development of performance management processes that focus on development and sharing of knowledge. 7. Develop processes of organizational and individual learning that will generate and assist in dissemination of knowledge. 8. Set up and organize workshop, conferences, seminar, communities of practice and symposia that enable knowledge to be shared on a person-to-person basis. 9. In conjunction with ID, develop a system that captured and, as far as possible, codifying explicit and tacit knowledge. Plus, generally, promote the cause of knowledge management with senior management or manager to encourage them to exert leadership and support knowledge management initiatives. Part 7. Competency based on HRM. The meaning of competency-based HRM. Competency refers to underlying characteristic of a person that result in effective or superior performance. About using notion of competency and the result of competency analysis to inform the improved HR processes, especially those concerned with recruitment and selection, learning and development, and performance and reward management. It has an important part to play in a number of HR activities. The different type of competency. Behavioral competencies, technical, SNVQ competency, competency headings. Behavioral competencies. These are the example of the type of behavior required to deliver result under such headings as teamwork, communication, leadership, and decision making, and are some known as soft skills. Technical competencies define what people have to know and be able to do in order to carry out and meet performance expectation and are some known as hard skills. SNVQ competencies specify minimum standard for the achievement of set tasks and activities expressed in a ways that can be observed and assessed with a view to certification. Competency headings. The most common competencies included in competency in framework are people skills, although outcome-based skills such as focusing on result and solving problem are also popular. Next, competency framework. Competency framework provide the basis for the use of competencies in areas such as recruitment and selection, learning and development, and performance management. The content of competency framework. 10 most popular bases. First, Achievement, result orientation, the desire to get done well and the ability to set and meet challenges goal, create on measure of excellence and constantly seek with improving performance. Next, business awareness, the capacity continually to identify and explore business opportunities, understand the business opportunities and priority of the organization and constantly to seek method of ensuring that the organization become more business-like. Communication, the ability to communicate clearly and persuasively orally in writing. Customer focus, the exercise of unceasing care in looking after the interests of external and internal customer to ensure that their wants, needs, and expectations are met or exceed. Developing others, the desire and capacity to foster and development of members of his or her team, providing feedback, support, encouragement, and coaching. Flexibility, the ability to adapt to and work effectively in different situations and to carry out varieties of tasks. Leadership, the capacity to inspire individuals to give their best, to achieve a desired result, and to maintain effective relationship with individual and team as a whole. Planning, the ability to decide on course of action, ensuring that the resources required to implement action will be available. Scheduling, the program of work required to achieve is defined and end result. Problem solving, the capacity to analyze situation, diagnose problem, identify the key issues, establish and evaluate alternative course of action, and produce a logical, practical, and acceptable solution. Teamwork, the ability to work, cooperate, and flexibly with other members of the team with full understanding of the role to be played as a team member. Competency framework. Some framework illustrate this definition with description or acceptable or unacceptable behavior, which may express as a positive or negative indicator. So here are the example of competency framework definition with positive and negative indicator. So competency definition, consistent seeking, ways of improving quality of service, the relevant and appeal those service to needs of customer and client and their effectiveness. Competency requirement. Set targets and improvement. Develop and implement programs for managing changes. Contribute to development of quality assurance and control processes. Ensure that they are implemented. Positive indicators. Encourage the development of new ideas and methods, especially those concerned with provision of quality. Conscious of the factor that enable change to take place smoothly. Discuss ideas with colleagues and customer, and formulates views on how to improve the service processes. Negative indicator doesn't try anything that has been done before. Complacent believe that there is no room for improvement. Follow previous practice, with considering the whether there are in any need to be changes. Coverage of competency. Using competencies, a number of approaches to use competency are adapted below. The menu approach, role-specific competence, graded competencies. So menu, select competencies that are relevant to generic or individual role. Some organizations provide guidelines on the number of competency to be selected, and other combine their core framework with the menu. Select from the list. Role-specific competencies, adopt and perform management processes. In recruitment, person specification, and in the preparation of individual learning program. Sample are specific fields. Graded competency application of the competency is in graded career or job family structure. In such families such as successive level in each family are defined in terms of competency as well as the key activities carried out. Application of competency-based HRM. There are top 3 areas where competency were applied. Recruitment and selection, more on hiring process. Reward management, they do the performance merits. Performance management, more on evaluation, learning improvement, how to develop. Recruitment and selection, competency are used in many organizations as basis for person specification set out under competency heading developed through roles analysis. Learning and development, role profile which are either generic or individual can include statement of the competency required. These are used to assess the level of competency achieved by individual and so identify their learnings and development needs. Learning events can be based on competency analysis related to an organization competency framework. Performance management. Competency in performance management are used to ensure that performance review do not simply focus on outcomes, but also consider the behavioral aspect of the how work is carried out to determine the outcomes. Reward management. Competency-related pay relate additional award to assessment of competency, but it has never become popular. However, more frequent use is made of contribution-related pay, which provide for people to be rewarded according to both the result they achieve and their level of competence. How to develop a competence framework. Developing a behavior competency framework that fits the culture and purpose of the organization that provides sound basis for a number of key HR processes is not to be overtaken lightly. It requires a lot of hard work, much of it concerned with involving staff and communicating with them to achieve understanding and buy-in. The steps required are described. First, program launch. Program launch decide on the purpose of the framework and the HR processes for which it will be used. Make out business case for its development, setting out the benefit of organization in such areas as improved performance, better selection outcome, more focused performance management, employee development and reward process, prepare projects plans that include assessment of resource required and the cost. Step 2. Involvement and communication. Involve line managers and employees in the design of framework. By setting up task force, communicate the objective of the exercise to the staff. Third, step 3. Framework design. First, get the task force drawn up the list of the core competency and value of the business, what it should be good at doing and the values it believes should influence behavior. This provides the foundation for analysis of competency required by people in the organization. Step 4. Framework design. Definition of competency. Care needs to be exercised to ensure that definitions are clear and that they will be serve their intended purpose. If, for example, one of the purpose is to provide criteria for conducting performance review, then it's necessary to certain that the way of competency is defined, together with supporting example, will enable fair assessment to be made. Step 5. Define use of competency and framework. Define exactly how it's intended that competency framework should be used, covering such applications as recruitment and selection, learning development, performance management, and reward. Step 6. Test the framework. Test the framework by guessing the reaction of a balanced selection of line managers and other employees to ensure that they understand it and believe that it is relevant to their roles. Step 7. Finalize the framework. Amend the framework as necessary following the test, and prepare notes for guidance on how it should be done or how it should be used. Step 8. Communicate. Let everyone know the outcome of the project, what the framework is, how it will be used, and how people will benefit. Group briefing and any other suitable means should be used. Step 9. Train. Give line managers and HR staff training in how to use the framework. Step 10. Monitor and evaluate. Monitor and evaluate the use of framework and amend it as required. Part 8. The ethical dimension of HRM. The meaning of ethics. Ethics is defined by the Compact Oxford Dictionary as being related to morals, treated of moral question, and ethical is defined as relating to morality, concerned with making decision and judgment about the right course of action. The nature of ethical decision and judgment. An ethical decision is one of that is morally acceptable to the larger community. A moral issue is present where a person's action, when freely performed, may harm or benefit others. In other words, the action of decision must have consequences, for the other must be involved in choices or volition on the part of actors decision maker. Ethical framework. It provides framework that can be used to evaluate HR and policies and practices. Deontological theory utilitarianism, stakeholder theory, discourse ethics. Ethical framework, deontological theory. What is right for one person is right for everyone. Thus you must do the other as you would do. We must treat person solely as end as means. Second, utilitarianism. The belief that the highest principle of morality is to maximize happiness, the overall balance of pleasure against pain. Actions are justified when they result in the greatest good to the greatest number. Stakeholder theory state that the organization should be managed on behalf of its stakeholder, its owner, employees, customers, suppliers, and local communities. Fourth, discourse ethics suggests that the role of the ethics is not to provide solution to the ethical problem, but rather to provide practical process and procedure which is both rational and conscience enhancing, through which issues can be debate and discourse can be take place. The significance of the concept of equity, justice, and fair dealing. Equity theory concerns with the perception people have about how they are being treated as compared with others. To be dealt with the equitable is to treat fairly in the comparison with another group of people or relevant other person. So it should be equal treatment. Second, equity theory concerns with the perceptions people have about how they are being treated as compared with others. To be dealt with equitable is to treated fairly in comparison with another group of people or relevant other person. Equal treatment. Fair dealing, transacting of business in a manner characterized by candid and full disclose and free self-interest, selfless goal. HRM ethical guidelines. So there are general guidelines, organizational development, recruitment and selection, learning and development, performance management, reward management, employee relation, and employment practices. So first, general guidelines. It recognizes that the strategical goal of the organization should embrace the right and needs of the employees as well as those of the business. It also recognizes that the employees are entitled to be treated as full human beings with personal needs, hope, and anxieties. Do not treat employees simply as means to an end or mere factors of production. Relate to employees generally in a ways that recognize their natural rights to be treated justified equitably and with respect. Organization development or OD. It agrees in advance with clients and individual the goal, content, and risk of an OD program. Makes explicit any values or assumption used in this program. Work with clients to plan and implement change to the benefit of all stakeholders. And most importantly, you should protect the confidentialities. Recruitment and selection. Treat candidates with considerations. Applicants or applications should be acknowledged. Candidates should be kept informed without undue delay of decision made about their applications. And they should not be kept waiting for the interview. Do not put candidates under or undue stress in interview. Do not criticize any aspect of candidates' personalities or experience. Give candidates reasonable opportunities to present their case and to ask questions. Avoid jumping on conclusion about candidates or inadequate evidence or as a result of prejudice. Do not use discrimination or biases. Learning and development. Respect individual right for dignity, self-esteem, privacy, and autonomy. Recognize that it is necessary and legitimate to provide individuals with learning opportunities that enables them to gain the knowledge and skills required to perform well in their jobs and develop their potential. But note that individuals should still be allowed autonomy to choose the extent to which they pursue learning and development programs beyond this basic requirement. Avoid manipulating people to accept imposed organizational values. Performance management. Respect for individual. People should treat as end in themselves and not merely it means to other end. Mutual respect. The parties involved in performance management should respect each other's needs and preoccupation. Procedural fairness. The procedure incorporated in performance management should be operate fairly in accordance with principles or procedural justice. Transparency. People affected by decision emerging from performance management process should have the opportunities to the basic upon which decisions were made. Reward management ensures that reward policies and practices are fair, equitable, and transparent, and that they are applied consistently. Reward people according to their contribution. Ensure that the people know, in general, the basis upon which rewards are provided, and in particular, how their own reward package is determined. Do not pay less than the minimum or the living wage. Employee relations. Deliver the deal. Be open to employees' input and responsive to justifiable questions and concern about employment policies and practices. Provide genuine opportunities and channel for employees to express their views and influence decisions on matters that affect them. Recognize that the interests of management and employees do not necessarily coincide the development and implementation employees relation policies accordingly. Employment practice. Create a healthy, safe, and fulfilling work environment. Promote the well-being of employees by improving the quality of working life provided for them, enhancing work-life balance, and develop family-friendly policies. Take particular care to minimize the stress to which employees may be subjected. Preserve job security as far possible and take alternative actions to avoid compulsory redundancies. Do not allow whistleblowers who expose wrongdoing to be penalized. Part 9. Corporate Social Responsibilities. Corporate social responsibility is defined as exercise by organization when they conduct their business in an ethical way, taking account of social, environmental, and economical impact of how they operate and going beyond compliance. SCR is concerned generally with how companies functions, and this includes how they manage their people. CSR policies may express in a values statement that sets out organization core values under such headings as care and considerations for people, competence, competitiveness, customer service, innovation, performance, quality, and teamwork. Strategic corporate social responsibility. Strategic SCR is about deciding initially the degree to which the firm should be involved in social issues and then creating an corporate social agenda, considering what social issues to focus on and to what extent. SCR strategy need to be integrated with the business strategy, but it is also closely associated with HR strategy. This is because it is concerned with socially responsible behavior both outside and within the firm, with society generally and with the internal community. In the latter case, this means creating a worker environment where personal and employment rights are upheld, and HR policies and practice provide for the fair and ethical treatment for employees. SCR activities includes incorporating social characteristics or features into product and manufacturing process, adopting progressive HR practice, achieve higher level of environment, perform true recycling and pollution abatement, and advancing the goal of the community organization. So benefit of SCR, it includes offering distinctive position in the marketplace, protecting reputation, building credibility and trust with the customer employees, defining corporate purpose of mission and securing the company license operate. The basis for developing SCR strategy. The basis of developing SCR strategy is provided by the following competency framework of the SCR Academy in 2006, which is made up with 6 characteristics. First, understand society. Understanding how business operate in the broader context and knowing the social environment impact that the business has on society. Second, building capacity. Building the capacity of others to help manage the business effectively. For example, the suppliers understand the business approach, to the environment, and employees can apply social and environment concern in their day-to-day basis or day-to-day roles. Third, questioning business as usual. Individual continually questioning the business in relation to a more sustainable future and being open to improving the quality of life and environment. Fourth, stakeholder relation. Understanding who the key stakeholders are and the risk of opportunities they present, working with them through consultation and taking their views into action. 5. Strategic view, ensuring that social and environmental views are included in the business strategy so that they are integral to the way of business operate. 6. Harnessing diversity, respecting that people are different, which reflected in fair and transparent business practices. Developing and implementing a SCR strategy. So, understand the business and social environment in which the firm operates. Understand the business and HR strategy and how SCR strategy should be aligned to them. Know who the stakeholders are and find out their views on the expectation of SCR. Produce and deliver persuasive argument in the favor of SCR. If all else failed, suggest that there is room for alignment self-interest that involves doing well by doing good. Identify the areas in which SCR activities might take place by referring to their relevance in the business context of organization and evaluation of their significant stakeholders. Prioritize as necessary on the basis of assessment of relevant significance of XCR, the organization and stakeholders, and practicalities of introducing the activities of practice. Draw up strategies and make the business case for its top management and stakeholders. Obtain approval for SCR strategy from top management and key stakeholders. Communicate information on the whys and wherefores of the strategy comprehensively and regularly. Provide training to the employees on the skills they need in implementing the SCR strategy. Measure and evaluate the effectiveness of XCR. That's the end of our presentation. Thank you.